ladies. Welcome to another episode of Rise and Chime. I'm Rosalind, and I'm the creator of Chime In Sis. And today we have Miss Chelsy Gray, who is the founder of Adaya Beauty with us, and she's going to tell us more about her journey to creating Adaya Beauty and also how that contributes to her overall sense of fulfillment. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. Question number one. If you could give a title to the season that you're currently in right now, what would it be?
I feel like I'm in 5 seasons. I would say just like getting out of my comfort zone, and just getting things done, whether it's like perfect or whether I feel great about it. So I'm just in a season of like challenging myself to like just get out of my way and don't get stuck on like perfection or like trying to have things a certain way, but just challenging myself to kind of go with the flow. Like done is better than perfect.
Yes.
Step outside of like, but I wanted to go this way, or I wish, or if I had this, then I would do it this way. Even just in my personal life too, just just challenging myself to like more things. So.
Yes, I love that. And I love it how you brought that up. I love the winging it. I feel like winging it is like everybody's motto right now. It's like, we don't know what's going on.
No one.
Keep moving. Like literally what you're doing is working, keep going. So I love that. So let's go ahead and get into question number 2. So tell me more about what you do as the founder of Adaya Beauty.
Okay, so it's kind of changing every day. So right now, like I'm building a team, but what I do day to day is, well, what I'm doing right now is just kind of like setting the foundation, trying to figure out, like I'm one person, I work a full-time job, I work a part-time job, I'm not in a relationship, but I have a lot of friends. And so I really don't have like a ton of time. So right now I'm trying to figure out, what do I want to spend my time doing? And what are the things I'm good at? What are the things that like I try to do to save money, but just take me way too much time that I'm like, I need to hire someone to do this. So right now, one of my responsibilities is just to figure out, like build a team. And then the second most important thing I'm doing is like how to fund my business, like sales, like what am I trying to do like financially, like how to fund it. And then something I always work on is finding new brands to partner with, testing out products. So those are really like my 3 things. It's just trying to build a team, how I'm going to fund the business, and then continuing to like test out products before we launch them.
Awesome. So I do want to know more about how did you actually get into brand partnerships with the brands that you have highlighted on your website? So how did that work?
So a lot of the brands, I either started using their products, like testing it out, because like once I started Adaya, I wanted it to be just more so based on like efficacy, because right now there's like a lot of marketing like, oh, this is good for dry skin or whatever, or this is good for dry hair. But when you look at the ingredients, like it has nothing in there that's proven to show that this is going to be effective. And sometimes it does, but it may be the last ingredient on the bottle, but like the front of the bottle says perfect for natural dry hair. So like everything that we try to do is just to bring visibility and like transparency into like, okay, this product is for people that have these issues. And so what I really do is like, I just go and try to find different brands. And what I did for like the launch, we only launched with like a handful, like maybe 8 or so brands. And I really focused on what brands or what issues do like our target customer, like women of color, Black women, we need to address first. So one is like hyperpigmentation, and bringing in the sunscreen. And so I test a lot. I like find out, I just search what's the best products. I search ingredients that are like, okay, if I want to look at something for hyperpigmentation, what are the ingredients I should be looking at first versus like, oh, this brand is hot, or I saw this brand in this magazine, because people just, they pitch themselves to get put in there. So you can't always trust that 100% of the time. So do is like just search by like who has the right ingredients, like what are the reviews saying, like what are they claiming, or the customer saying it's working, and who's behind the brand. So I really do a mix of that, and then I test out the products for a couple months. We are building like a 4 to 6 week time frame where we'll have people test out the products, like
nice.
before we launch, and like during having like the products on the site, we'll have like a test group of people testing the products, and we'll come out like of some products if we prove that it doesn't work. But yeah, that's kind of how I find them. I try to look at claims and ingredients versus like, oh, this brand aesthetic is fine, but like, does it work?
Yes, and I love the fact that you do the research behind it, and not only that, but that you also participate in like trials to try it out on different people with different, skin types or whatever the variations are. It's almost like a scientific experiment. It's like, okay, so this worked well for this person in this type of skin or this type of hair, and then it didn't work for the person who had maybe different variables. So I really like the fact that you do your research, like you said, and it's not only the products that look good, because we do have a lot of products that look good, but to have something that actually works, that's going to take it to the next level. So tell me the story about behind the creation of Adaya Beauty.
So I've been working on this for like, this sounds like such a long time, like 3 years, but really it's from like having the idea to like researching the industry. And like the first year, I think this was like year 2008, 17, 18. I got the idea, but originally I was going to open like a brick and mortar store. So like I spent the first year just like researching the industry, how to open store, like just, I work in retail like as a buyer, but just really like how does it work if you're trying to open a store, and just learning more about the business. And then like in 2018, I got like a part-time job at Sally's to like learn like, okay, this is how you open and close a store, whatever, because I wanted to open one. And then I like that took like a minute to just kind of figure out what I wanted to do. Because I just didn't really like how everything else, like how you have to play, like, oh, you have to have like this much of assortment to compete with a lot of the beauty supply stores out there. And I was like, I don't really think you need all those products, but you know how it is. Like if you go to a beauty supply store and they don't have a lot of stuff, you kind of have that perception that like they don't have anything, I need to go to this other store. So that was like 2018. And then 2019 was just really like my year of like, okay, finalizing like, okay, this is the direction I want to go. I was like almost about to take out a loan for a store. Thank God I didn't. I left my job. I took like 2 or 3 months off because I was going to open the store, but I was also going to still have a part-time job on the side because I didn't have enough money saved just to like not have a job. But I had more time off, and I just like figured out like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. Not really a store, but this is really the need. It's like people to help with finding the right products versus just like the accessibility, like having a store. And so since then, I've just been like fine tuning, like how we're going to get there. And just kind of taking my time. I mean, half of it is like what I mentioned earlier, is like getting over myself. Done is better than perfect. Stop trying to perfect every little thing. So that definitely added some extra time in there. But other than that, it's just been, and I'm still learning like, oh, this is how we should do it. So yeah, that's kind of been the journey. It's just trying to figure out, like what is the best way to serve like the people, like Black women that I'm saying, like, we need this, we need a good space to buy like high end products and like middle products, products that work. But that's not really out there. So it takes some time to just kind of figure out how you're going to do it.
I love that you said that you're continuing to learn. I think that that's a big thing in life, but also as being a business owner, things change so much. And the fact that you were getting ready to take out a loan, literally, and then everything happened. It's like, well, we're about to move to the virtual space. And I think that's awesome that you were so agile and able to be really flexible there. Immediately, you were able to change the plan, but you also were able to still keep the big goal in mind. You still wanted to create this storefront online where Black women of color could get the products that they needed. So I think that that's really cool that you were able to be flexible in your mindset and change things up.
Yeah, and it took, at first I was like, I became flexible, but like initially I was like, but I've told everyone, not like people on the internet, because I didn't start social media because I'm like, I need need to be perfect, whatever.
Yeah.
But like all my friends knew, like I had left my job for like to open a store. And then when I had more time, I was like, dang, I don't really want to do that. Or like, I found
Yeah.
like this is what I need to do. So I was like kind of battling, like, but I said I was going to do this and I can't just change or whatever. But it was like, who said you couldn't change? Like, you can
Who
do
said?
exactly. Who said that you can't change your mind? This is your business, you know? And I'm so happy. Like, I just had to, trust me, I had to like tell myself, like, this is not what you're doing anymore. You are moving to something else. Like, don't worry about, you know, and my friends were totally understanding. A lot of times it's just you thinking people are going to be like, whatever. And even
Yes.
if people are, it's like, it takes time. You may have, you know, you may find some, like for me, I found some really important information that I didn't have when I was working because I was so busy. I didn't really have the time to like really sit down and like laser focus on my business. But when I did,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I don't want to take off this long, but it did take me like a couple weeks to get over like, dang, I'm really not opening this store.
Yeah. I mean, because, you know, you had that dream and that vision at first, and then for it to change, I can't even imagine, you know, how that would feel to change up the plan. But it still came out, it still worked out so beautifully in the end.
Yeah.
So, and you talked a little bit about working at Sally's. I want to know more about like mentorship through this process. Have you had mentors that have been helping you along the way? And how has that impacted your personal life and your professional life?
So I wouldn't say, I feel like I've talked to, like when I first started, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm about to do this and I could do this like in a year and whatever. I was talking to like people at my job where I was working as an assistant. Well, I'm still an assistant buyer, but as assistant at JCPenney. So a lot of the people there were like, kind of like my little mentors, like, oh, you should do this or whatever. But I haven't had like huge mentors, like people that I can say like this specific person. I just listen to a lot of podcasts and I listen to like a lot of people's stories. And to me, like that's kind of like their mentorship to me is
Yes.
like just listening to people and being okay. Like it's okay to change your mind. It's okay that you had a good idea today, but like you found some information out and it's not a good idea anymore. Or, you know, it's just like I use some of the podcast people as like my
Yes.
mentors in my head. But I think it's helped me professionally just keep going. I'm like pretty self-motivated. So like I'm just gonna keep going because I want it.
Yeah.
But just like when you're like, dang, I thought I was gonna do that or something. I listen to a lot of podcasts that help me get through that. And then personally, a lot of it is just like you have to be resilient and be flexible and be okay like with the challenge of things not going the way that you planned it.
Yes.
2020.
Yes. I love that. I love that. But then I also love it, like that you said, you know, that you look to some of the stories and people from the podcast that you're listening to, because we can learn so much, even just by listening to people's stories and not even,
Yes.
you know, even if they're not in our close network, like where we can call them, but just hearing people's stories and learning about their journeys. It resonates a lot with us. Like to hear somebody, I'm pretty sure, say, you know, I had this idea and then I changed it up. It's like, oh, well, if you did it, then I can too, and it'll still be successful.
Or it took them years to get to where, like, just thinking, like, even people, like, even myself, like, I want to do this in a year, or I want to launch this. And you can, but it depends. Like, you can, it depends on your strategy. Like, are you trying to do it fast? Are you doing it alone? Do you have a lot of investment? Like, everybody's situation is so unique to them.
Yeah.
But, like, when you hear these stories that people be like, saying, like, oh, yeah, I got this idea, but it didn't happen until like 6 or 7 years later. It just eases you like, girl, calm down.
Yes.
It's gonna happen. Like, just relax, like do the work and it'll come. So like, I think that's been like the most important thing for me, like mentorship wise, from like listening to like all the podcasts, is that, you know, it takes time and it's not always on your time. So just kind of got to keep the faith and keep going.
Definitely, definitely. So let's talk about some advice that you would give to a woman who is interested in creating her own business in wellness and beauty. What advice would you give to her?
With starting her own, what did you say?
With
Sorry.
starting her own business in wellness and beauty.
I would say my friends joke with me all the time. I'm like, if you ask me anything about something, I probably like can give you a resource or a link or something on a podcast, something. But that's just because I do a lot of research on stuff. And I think like the number one advice is just do the research and just it's like two things. Just do your research. The more you know, the more you learn, the more you follow different people, you look at podcasts, people that are like similar into the business you're trying to start. Some people can be doing a completely different business, but you like how they have a community, you like how they have a podcast, or you like how their website looks. Like search them on YouTube, see if they are, see if they have interviews when they talk about their process, because they may tell you like, oh no, we do this for our website if you want to build it, or this is what we do to build our community. So you can just find all this information out there. So just kind of like do a lot of research, figure out, what you don't know that well, and just try to figure it out, like do the research to find it out. But just research a lot of stuff. I just research a lot of things. Yeah. And then just staying in your lane. I feel like I have to tell myself that all day long. It's just figure, and you may not know what you want to do. Like I am, building this business, I have an idea, but as you get more information from your customers, as you get more data from sales, as you just get more information, things are going to change, but like your vision is like, okay, I want to build this space where Black women can come. They can trust the products that are on our site. They can read the ingredients. They can understand what's in there. They're supporting Black women, or we're going to have brands that aren't owned by Black women or people of color, but those brands, create with us in mind, and their products work for us. But, what do I need to do to get there versus like, oh, well, and I struggle with this all the time. I kind of still do. I mean, I definitely still do. I think it's just like a thing that we do, but, if you're trying to create something different and you just can't, you can get inspiration, but sometimes I think it's hard to separate inspiration versus like copying, and not really copying, or just like so focused on their work that you're not focused on your own work.
Yep.
So even with like branding my business, which I'm still doing, and like building my website, like I did it myself with the help of my friend. I was like, but it doesn't look like this, or it doesn't have this. And it's like, but it doesn't, because you are creating it. It's not theirs, So I think especially in this space, it's so easy to get caught up in the trends, or look at other accounts on Instagram or other people. You think their business is doing something. We all don't know what everybody's business is doing, only what the perception is. So it's just like, stay in your, like, figure out your lane and stay in it, and like, look at, you can look for inspiration from people, because I think that's important. That's a part of like your continuous research, is like, or whatever, but just kind of stay in your lane and like do your own thing, and don't really worry about what other people are doing.
Yeah, I love that.
The two main things that I just need to focus on myself. So I would say those are like, and then the third thing, is find creators. Like if you're in beauty and wellness, like pay attention, going back to the research thing, pay attention to, what ingredients are trending, like what formulations people are doing. Like find the experts in skincare, the experts in wellness and beauty, and follow them, see what they're talking about. I do that for myself. I follow a lot of estheticians, a lot of dermatologists, a lot of like skincare experts. I follow the people that know what they're talking about. And then that way I get good information, and they even recommend different products on their Instagram, or and some that aren't ads. But and I look into those, and sometimes I may buy that for the store. So try to find the experts in the field and get information from them too.
Yes.
Especially for beauty and wellness, because that's so important, because a lot of it is kind of scientific, especially when it comes down to formulas.
I love that. And I want to go back to where you were talking about staying in your own lane. I was reading in this Audible audiobook that I was listening to. And the author said, there's so many of us that are doing similar things, but remember that nobody can do it like you. So you have your own beauty and wellness business, and there are tons of them, but nobody is going to do it the way that Chelsy can do it. And nobody can, like everybody has their own flair. They have their own personality, their own way of doing things. And so, don't get intimidated by the fact that there are so many of them, because nobody can do you the way that you do you. So
and people won't be there. Some people are started and won't be here next year, and some people, you may think that like all these people like this brand or this store or even whatever it is, but it's like maybe it's some people that don't. And your job is to figure out like who are the, like where is my audience and stuff. But yeah, it's just really important because you just don't know. Like everything is like you're inferring like, oh, this seems like it's working for them, but you just really don't know. That's why it's like, look, get the research, get the data, figure out how it works for what you're trying to do, and just like create and fine tune it, but based on like your data and stuff. And still be aware, but
do you put your spin on it? Put your spin on it.
I'm always like, this doesn't look like this other person something. I'm like, yeah, she paid $5,000 to get that website done. Are you paying $5,000? Right. And if you're not, then it's gonna look like your work. And until you do pay somebody $5,000, this is just what you have for now. It doesn't mean you can't get that in the future. But if you don't start, or if you're so busy comparing yourself to others, you just won't know. And people pay a lot of money for a lot of stuff that looks kind of easy on Instagram and websites. And you're like, that girl spent $10,000. You don't have $10,000. You don't want to spend $10,000 on a website. It's okay. Just do your thing.
Do your own thing. Yours is beautiful. Focus on that. Yours is beautiful. You can take some inspiration, like you said, from other people's businesses and ideas, but you always have to put your own spin on it. Sometimes we'll say put your own stank on it. Like you have to put your own, put it on there, sprinkle a little seasoning on it. Okay, so what other personal interests do you have outside of beauty and wellness?
So I've been tutoring I've always tutored since I was like really young, but I'm like really into tutoring. So after I get this business going, I do have like another tutoring type business I want to start. Okay. I may start it sooner, but I need to get this together. But I am passionate about like tutoring, and like I went to HBCU, I went to Hampton University. I'm passionate about, HBCUs. I'm passionate about the people that come from there. And I'm really passionate about, paying it forward to like people, like kids, peers, anything. Like I have a lot of resources. I always try to reach back to Hampton or find people that went to school with me that may need me, reach back to my teachers and say like, hey, is there somebody that wants to be in like retail buying? Send them my way. I can talk to them about it. So I'm really passionate about that. So the tutoring thing that I have kind of going, I started like the beginning of quarantine.
Awesome. That's really good.
Thank you. I just kind of built the website and kind of got the premise and stuff together, but I haven't like actioned on anything because I'm focused on this. But I'm just slow building, like things take time. So like, as I get some time, like I'll work on something from that. Cause I know like when I'm ready to do it, I want to have the infrastructure there. So yeah, so that's another thing I'm like really passionate about, is just helping other people, especially like through education and resources, which is kind of like the tutoring platform I'm trying to work on is going to do.
Awesome. That is so awesome. And I love it how, you're tying in like helping people. I think even through Adaya Beauty, you're helping Black women to make sure that they have what they need. And then through tutoring, you're helping students and the youth, and then it's connected to your HBCU. So it's everything, I feel like, is all somehow connected. And I think that that's beautiful. So what does fulfillment look like for you today?
I don't know. I feel like I'm like, what should I do now? I feel fulfilled when I'm like helping people, whether that's just like through a conversation, whether it's somebody I know or I don't know. I fulfill when like I'm doing the things I say I want to do. Like I'm always like, I'm gonna cook something and cook a fancy meal. And when I do it, I feel so good because I like made the time to do it.
Yeah.
And I just feel fulfilled when I'm like really operating in my best self. Like I'm doing the same things I'm saying I'm doing. I'm helping other people. I feel happy. Like I talk to my family. So I just really feel great when I'm just like helping others, doing some of
Yes.
the things I know I want to do, and then just connecting with people, whether it's my friends or family. Those are like my top things.
Awesome. So my last question is, how does the work that you're doing through Adaya Beauty add to your overall sense of fulfillment right now?
I think it just goes back to that serving thing and like the being a resource and like helping people kind of. So I love like my friends, they'll ask me, I've bought like several different categories before in retail, like furniture, dinnerware, things like that. So they'll ask me like, oh, should I get this comforter or how do you like this shirt or something? So I think, and they ask me about beauty stuff too. So I think Adaya just really helps me like extend myself and like all the research I'm doing, I can share to people and like help them kind of put them on to new things. So Adaya really helps me like fulfill, like I like to help people. I like for people to have the information to make good decisions, to have nice things, to enjoy, like, like we should have good, like all skin is good skin. You should, but like you should be making educated decisions when you're buying products. You should be knowing like, oh, this has a toxic, like, everyone doesn't want to be 100% toxic free, and that's fine. And you shouldn't have to like go to 5 different stores just to find something. But really, it's just helping women find, products that work for them that like kind of cut through the noise of like all the marketing stuff.
Yeah.
Educating them on things that we really need to know. We need to know about what's going on with our skin, because if you don't, that's like I'm a testament. I go to a dermatologist that costs me like $35 or $50 every time I see her. But just it is simple things that like, oh, I didn't know that, but I wish like all these beauty stores would have told me that's just kind of normal.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially the wellness piece, I'm really excited about because a lot of stores don't really have that wellness piece. And we're going to be focusing, like we're just gearing up, but we're going to be focusing on really tying in, how you can't be your best self or, look great, all the, how you want to have all these goals if you're not well in the inside or mentally. Because if you have a stressful job, Sephora isn't going to tell you that this face wash is they're going to just say like, this is a perfect face wash for you because you have this skin, but they don't know like what kind of job you have. Are you a business owner? Do like those different things impact, how well things work for you. So just giving people the education and resources and being like a help is kind of how I'm fulfilling myself through Adaya.
Well, that is awesome. So I want to say thank you so much to Chelsy for sharing with us today. Y'all, please make sure that you do follow Adaya Beauty on Instagram at Adaya Beauty. And thank you all so much for chiming in.
Thank you.